Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh, and today we're going to jump right into our fourth stimulus package and news update. In today's update, we have a lot of news to get into, but first, if you would like to receive 2 free stocks from Webull valued all the way up to $2,300, make sure to claim them by clicking my link, which you will find in the description box below. Okay, so in just 2 more days, those of you with children under the age of 18 should be receiving the final round of the child tax credit payments. After this payment, you'll be able to claim the other half of the payments when you go to file your tax returns. So if you have one child under the age of 6, you should have received 6 payments this year totaling $1,800. Then when you go to file your tax returns next year, you'll be able to claim another credit of $1,800. So again, this will be the last child tax credit payments everyone will be receiving, unless, of course, Democrats find a way to extend them for 1 more year. And that's one of the big reasons Democratic leaders hope to get the Build Back Better piece of legislation passed by the end of this year in order to keep the payments going for 1 more year. We've all heard over the past few weeks that the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, said he'd like to have the bill passed before Christmas, but is that really all that realistic? Because for months now, we've heard another Democratic senator in Joe Manchin saying they need to have a strategic pause on all of the excess spending and perhaps hold off on passing the bill. Last week, with another record-breaking inflation report, surely that couldn't have changed any of Manchin's views. If he wanted to hold off on more spending before, learning that inflation is rising even more definitely won't help ease his concerns. So what's going to happen? Well, as early as today, President Joe Biden is planning on meeting with Senator Manchin, where he hopes to convince him to get this bill passed through. On the other hand, Manchin has shown a complete willingness to be sort of the lone wolf in the Democratic Party, not afraid of being the only one to say no. Meanwhile, the other 50 Republicans in the Senate continue to cheer Manchin on, urging him to oppose the package. During a segment on Fox News Sunday, this is what one Republican Senator, Lindsey Graham, had to say about the bill.
The CBO found instead of adding $200 billion to the deficit, it will add $3 trillion to the deficit. But, Senator, the White House says that's fake, because if the programs are extended, they'll find ways to pay for them.
Well, give me a plan to pay for them then. President Biden said the bill was fully paid for. Vice President Harris said it was paid for. Schumer, Pelosi, Secretary of Treasury Yellen. The CBO says it's not paid for. It's $3 trillion of deficit spending. It's not $1.75 trillion over 10 years. It's $4.9 trillion. What does this mean? The House should revote. The vote in the House was based on a fraud. This bill doesn't cost $1.75 trillion. It cost almost $5 trillion. It doesn't add $300 billion to the deficit. It adds $3 trillion. There is not a plan to pay for it. If there is, I missed it. So give it to me. Give it to the American people. Before we vote in the Senate, show me how you pay for this bill. And you know why I wrote a letter to CBO? Because Joe Manchin came to me and he said, I think this bill is full of gimmicks, that these programs won't go away, Lindsey. And if you score them for 10 years, I think the bill will double. Well, it didn't double. It was almost 2.5 times. So I hope that this will be a showstopper for Build Back Better.
Graham says that clearly the CBO shows that the bill isn't paid for. He went on to say that the House should vote once again on the bill based on the new data from the CBO. Senator Graham is then called out, saying Republicans passed a tax cut under the Trump administration, which caused a deficit of nearly $2 trillion. This is what Graham had to say about that.
But in 2017, President Trump and all Senate Republicans voted for the tax cuts then that added $2 trillion to the economy. And in fact, you talk about budget gimmicks. It used the same budget gimmick there, for instance, saying that individual tax cuts were going to end in 2025. Here's White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki on that.
The plan they proposed and passed into law, the 2017 tax cuts, were $2 trillion, which were not paid for in any way, shape, or form. That didn't seem to upset them at all.
Senator, does she have a point?
Oh, no, not really. I like giving money back to the taxpayer. I don't like spending more money than we did in World War II and that's what we're doing right now. This bill, Build Back Better, is $5 trillion. It's not 1.75. It will add $3 trillion to the deficit. When they tell you the bill is paid for, they're lying. When Nancy Pelosi brought it to the House with a CBO score of 1.75, it was a lie. When she said it was $300 billion to the deficit, it's a lie.
Respectfully, what Jen Psaki is saying, and a lot of Democrats are saying, is that when President Trump and you
what's that got to do with anything?
Let me just finish. Past the 2017 Trump tax cut.
Yeah.
That was a lie. It wasn't paid for.
No, what happens is you can't go beyond 10 years in terms of the budget window. We voted knowing that cutting taxes we believe would be good. I never said that cutting taxes. I voted for cutting taxes. I'm against expanding the government. They're telling you it doesn't cost anything, Chris. Well, the CBO says it costs $3 trillion. Joe Manchin, if you're watching, you were right, Joe. You got this right. It is a lie. It's $4.9 trillion, not 1.75. Okay. It's $3 trillion. So Joe Manchin was right. Now, what the hell are you going to do about it? If you say it's going to be paid for, give me the offsets. Do you raise taxes by $3 trillion? Do you cut the government by $3 trillion?
So Graham says the difference between Trump's tax cuts and the Build Back Better bill is the tax cuts put money back into the pockets of Americans. This bill is simply just creating more government programs. Graham is for cutting taxes, but against making a bigger government. He says, clearly, with all this new data, Manchin should oppose this bill. Interestingly enough, Manchin has yet to make a public comment about the recent inflation report, showing the highest rate in nearly 40 years. So is he surprised by that number, and will that make any difference on how he votes on the bill? Another interesting question Graham has asked during this interview is the fact that families with 2 children in his state of South Carolina currently spend 21% of their income on childcare. Under Biden's plan, that number would go to 7%. Also, 14% of children lived in poverty in South Carolina pre-pandemic, whereas the child tax credit helped reduce that number. Graham is asked, by not passing the Build Back Better bill, and therefore not extending the child tax credit, won't that hurt a lot of families? Here is his answer.
Let's talk about what's in the Build Back Better plan. Families in your state of South Carolina with 2 children, on average, now spend 21% of their income on child care. The Build Back Better plan would cut that to 7% of their income on child care. Pre-pandemic, 14% of children in South Carolina lived in poverty. By blocking Build Back Better, you'd end a child tax credit of up to $3,600 per year per child. Senator, just as a practical matter, won't that hurt a lot of families in your state?
As a practical matter, my families in my state are getting crushed by inflation. 6.8% inflation number came out Friday. It's the highest inflation rate in 40 years. So it makes your paycheck go less. It's crushing people who are working. So if you pass Build Back Better, it declares war on fossil fuels. It gives tax credits to buy electric vehicles made by union plants, which hurts BMW and Volvo. This bill, Build Back Better, will be gasoline on the inflation problem. It destroys the ability to extract fossil fuels. Gas prices went up 58%. The last thing I'm going to do is add more burdens to working families in South Carolina. And here's my message to the Democratic Party. Quit lying about this bill. They should revote it in the House. And Senator Manchin, you were right. I hope you'll stand up and stop this madness. We need to stop Build Back Better before it destroys this country.
All right.
Graham says what's hurting families the most is all this extra inflation. Even with the child tax credit payments, inflation alone will eventually end up greatly reducing the value of that money. Okay, so other than passing the Build Back Better bill by Christmas, this week lawmakers will also look to raise the debt ceiling. Last week, they passed a measure which will allow for them to do just that, with just a simple majority. So, just like in the House, where they only need a simple majority, in the Senate, they'll just need 50 senators to approve of the increase, with Vice President Kamala Harris being the tiebreaker. As of right now, Democratic leaders have yet to announce how big the increase will be, but it's expected to be right around $2 trillion. Furthermore, the Senate will also complete work on the National Defense Authorization Act this week, which is a bill that Congress approves on a yearly basis. both sides of the aisle recognize this bill as must-pass legislation, so it should eventually make its way through. Moreover, Democrats will continue their push to have Republican Representative Lauren Boebert stripped of her committee assignments. House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn said he believes Republicans should also hold her accountable. In a statement, he said she is a member of the Republican conference, so it's not the Democratic Party's responsibility to police Republicans. We got a hard enough job with our own. The problem is there's no leadership on the Republican side. In response to her critics, Boebert sent out a tweet saying, "Liberals are on a mission to try and smear my name. Why? They know when we take back the House, I will be leading the charge to pass the #America First agenda and won't take no for an answer." During Saturday Night Live, they had a skit with Representative Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene where they had her holding semi-automatic rifles and referring to COVID as a fake disease. To that, the Congresswoman responded, "Just saw the poorly acted SNL skit from last night. Seeing the poor trigger discipline from the no-name actress who played me makes me think Alec Baldwin did the gun safety training over there. By the way, when are they moving Saturday Night Live over to CNN to die out of irrelevance? The right doesn't need an SNL. We could just turn on CNN and MSNBC, which are parodies of themselves at this point." Look for even more of this drama to unfold over the years ahead. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Again, if you would like to receive a couple of free stocks from Webull, make sure to quickly claim them by clicking my link in the description box below. To receive the first free stock, you will need to fully open an account. Then to receive the second free stock, which will be valued up to $2,000, you'll need to make a qualifying deposit of at least $5. And even if you aren't all that interested in investing or continuing to invest at this point in time, you can always sell the free stocks that you receive and transfer that money, however much they're worth, right back to your bank account. So free stocks or free money is completely up to you. So once again, I hope that everyone has a great and safe rest of their day. If you did enjoy the content in today's video, I would greatly appreciate it if you would give this video a like, a big thumbs up. That does just help out with the YouTube algorithm. And until next time, as always, I'll see you in the next video.